Hey guys, welcome to the next installment of the R Essentials series. In this video, I'll be introducing R Projects, a powerful tool for organizing, managing, and streamlining your workflow in R. Now you might be wondering, what exactly is an R project? Well, it's essentially a self-contained workspace within RStudio. It's a way to organize your files, code, and data all in one neat package. Some benefits to using R projects include 1. Dedicated directories. This keeps everything together and reduces clutter in your global environment. 2. Relative paths, which make importing data, opening scripts, and accessing relevant files much more straightforward. 3. Parallel processing. R projects allow for multiple instances of RStudio to be open and executed at once. And finally, 4. Version control. R projects plays beautifully with version control systems like Git. So in the following demonstration, I'll be going over how to get started with R projects, which includes dedicated directories as well as relative paths. Look out for future videos on parallel processing and version control. Just a quick note, I use the MacBook for the demonstration, so there may be some minor coding differences when using Windows. You can download the files using this video on my website. Find the link below. And with that, let's jump into RStudio. Okay, so here I have RStudio open, and the first file we'll be working with is R projects out, which again, you can find on my website. The link is below. Now, the first thing I want to point out is that if we look here in the top right-hand corner, under project, it says none, because we're not in an R project yet. So let's go ahead and get one started. So we'll go to File. Actually, let me click on RStudio. We'll go to File, New Project. I'll go ahead and click Save. And then so we have 3 things we can choose from here: New Directory, Existing Directory, and Version Control. Now again, version control I'll cover in a future video, so we'll just be focusing on New Directory and Existing Directory. And again, these are the dedicated directories that I mentioned as a benefit in the introduction. So why don't we go ahead and start a new directory. And I want to start a new project. So I'll give the directory a name. I'll call it new. And then you could go ahead and browse. And so I want to put this in my documents. And then I'll go ahead and create the project. Now, as you can see in the right-hand corner, it's changed. So it doesn't say project none. It now says new because we're in the new directory. And then if I go to my Finder, you can see that RStudio has created a new folder called New. And then here's the R project. So this is the dedicated directory. And just a note real quick, when you're opening your R project, you want to make sure that you open this R project file and not any files that you have in here. So if I have an R script in here, which I'll show you later, you don't want to open the R script itself. You want to go ahead and open the project. Okay. But what we'll be working in is this existing directory. And as you can see, I have a script in here, and I also have a folder in here, but there is no dedicated directory because there's no R project file. So let's go ahead and start that. So I'll click on RStudio again. I'll go ahead and go to File, New Project. And this time I'll choose Existing Directory. I'll go ahead, Browse. And I want to go to My Documents. And then here's that folder that I want to create as a dedicated directory. So I'll click Existing, and I'll go ahead and click Open. Create Project. Okay, so here you can see I now have Existing up here in the top right-hand corner. So we're now working in the dedicated directory called Existing. Let me clear these out real quick. Okay. And then again, if you go to your Finder, so My Documents, if we click on this existing folder, the dedicated directory, now there is an R project here, so now we know it is a dedicated directory. So let's go ahead and get started with this R projects out script. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create some example data sets by using sequences of numbers. And these matrices are going to be 4 rows by 5 columns, and I'm going to specify by row equals true so that the sequence of numbers is read in by row. So I have 3 data sets here. I have X, Y, and Z. I'll go ahead and run those. And then if we click on X here, you can see we have the numbers 1 through 20, read in by row. If I click on Y, 21 through 40, read in by row. And then finally Z, 41 through 60, again, read in by row. Okay, and then now to show you relative paths and the usefulness of relative paths, I'm going to go ahead and write out these data sets into different levels of my folder structure. So if we go back into that folder, existing, you can see I have here a nested folder, or what's called a child directory, with existing being the parent directory. And if I click on C1 here, I have another folder, so C2, which is again further nested within my existing directory. And then I have a script here which we'll be working with later on in the demonstration. Okay, so that was just to show you the nested structure, or my folder structure. And so I'll be writing out X, Y, and Z into different levels of this folder structure. So first, I just want to write it into the existing directory, so the parent directory. And so as you can see here, all I have to specify is what the file name is. And I don't have to input a path or anything like that, because since I'm already working in the existing directory, this dedicated directory, I don't have to specify any path. It's just going to go ahead and put it straight into that existing directory. So I want the column names to be true, row names to be false, and the separator I'm specifying as a tab. So this will be a tab delimited text file. So I'll go ahead and write that in, or write that out. And then if we go back, you can see that I have x.dat. It's now in my existing directory. Okay. Next, we're going to write out Y. Same specifications as the first data set, except here I want to put it into that first nested folder, which is C1. So I specify C1/y.dat. I'll run that. And if we go back into our folder, if we click on C1, we now have the y.dat data set. And then finally, we'll write out Z. And this I want to go in the folder that is further nested within C1. So I'll type C1/C2/ and then the file name, which I want to call z.dat. And again, same specifications. This is a tab delimited data set. And I'll go ahead and run that. And then if we go into our folder, if I click here on C2, we now have the z.dat data set. So using relative paths, that's how you write out data sets into different levels of your folder structure. Now I want to work with this R projects in file, but I'd like to make C2 a dedicated directory first. So we'll go back into RStudio. I'll go to new project. I'll go ahead and save this. And then I'll choose existing directory again. I'll go to browse. And then again, it's the C2 folder that I'd like to make a dedicated directory. So I'll click C2 and then open, and then I'll go ahead and create the project. And then if we look in the top right corner again, it's our dedicated directory has changed. We're now working in the C2 dedicated directory. And then just to check, if we go into Finder, here's C2, and you can see we now have an R project file. So we know now that it's a dedicated directory. Okay, so the reason why I want to work in C2 as a dedicated directory is I want to show you how to read in data sets from different levels of the folder structure. Now if you were to read in data sets that are nested further within your folder structure, so in child folders, you would use code very similar to the way that we wrote out the data sets. So you would just have to, for example, let's go back to if you go here to files and you go to documents, you can access all your files from here. So let's go to the existing folder and then R projects out. And again, this is how you want to open R scripts when working in a dedicated directory. So you'll want to first open the R project file. By double clicking on it, it will open up your dedicated directory, and then select your R script from here to open it. Don't select the R script from your Finder. Okay, so just to show you again, I'll click on R projects out, and if you were to read in data sets, you would just use this same format here. So if it's in the C1 folder, this is how you would specify it, and then if it's in the C2 folder, which is in the C1 folder, this is how you would specify it. But what I want to show is how do you read in data sets that are in parent folders, so going backwards. And so first I'll read in the Z data set, which is in the dedicated directory that we're already in. So the Z data set is in the C2 folder. And so to read this in, all I need to do, since we're using relative paths, is to specify the file name, which is z.dat. I want to specify that the header is true, because the first row are the variable names, and then the separator again is a tab, so it's tab delimited. I'll go ahead and run this here, and then if we go ahead and look at our Z data set, let me close these out so that it isn't confusing. We can see it's successfully been read in. So from 41 to 60, we have our Z data set. Okay. Now let's go back to our Finder so I can show what I'm trying to do here. So here's our C2 project. This is the dedicated directory that we're currently working in. And then to read in the Z data set, we simply had to specify the file name, nothing else. Now what if I want to read in a data set that's in the C1 folder, which is one level up? So I want to read in the Y data set. So to do that, the file name that you would specify is // and then the file name, which is y.dat. Again, header true, separator tab. I'll run that. And then if we look at our Y data set, we have 21 through 40. So we have successfully uploaded our Y data set from a parent folder that was one level up in our nested folder structure. And then finally, what if you want to go 2 levels up? So again, this is our dedicated directory that we're working in, C2, and then if I go 1 level up, that's the C1 folder, and then I want to go another level up into the existing folder. So how do I read in this X data set? So the file name here would just be the repeat of the .. So if it's 2 levels up, you have .. and then .. and then the file name. Again, header true, separator tab. I'll run this. And then if we click on our X data set, you can see it was successfully uploaded 1 through 20. Okay. So what we've covered is being able to write out data sets in different levels of your folder structure, and I showed that going down. And then also how to read in data sets going up. And so you can flip-flop these if you'd like, or if you need to do that. But the last thing I want to show before we end this demonstration is what I alluded to in the beginning, which is let's open up my Finder first. Let's go to Documents, and then let's go to the existing folder. So again, one quick note before we end the demonstration. If you want to work in this R projects out R script, do not open the R script itself. What you want to do is to open the project. So I'll go ahead and open this project. Give it a second here to load. Okay. And then we see that we're now working in the existing dedicated directory. Now, if I close this out, the way that I want to open an R script now, working with R projects, is to go to Files, and then I want to go to Documents. I want to go to my existing folder, and then here I can open up the R script, R projects out. And then this is how you want to open R scripts. Again, first you want to open up the project. That will put you in the dedicated directory. And then using the Files tab here, you can navigate and then find your R script, and then you can open up your R script. All right, and that concludes the demonstration. That's it for today's video on R projects. If you've ever created folders on your computer to organize your files, then you're already one step ahead. Taking some extra time up front to create an R project will save you a great deal of time down the line. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And as always, drop your thoughts and questions in the comments below.